Welcome to Inside Tulsa Athletics. We'll have a wide range of visitors today, from officials to athletic directors to coaches. So when we come right back, we'll have our first guest. Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics. Now we have a special guest. Officials are hard to come by sometimes, but Paula Mean has been a wrestling official for a long, long time. Paul, we're certainly glad you're here.
Well, I appreciate you having me here, Gil.
I think it's an important thing that you do, and let's talk a little bit about how did you get into officiating?
You know, it's funny because we're here at Webster doing this filming, and Reed Park right next door is where the Official Association used to have their meetings. And a guy named Onions Martin, who was also tied to Webster, had known that I wrestled in high school and college, and he recruited me to come to the first meeting down there. So that was 36 years ago.
Well, I tell you what a mentor in Onions Martin.
Yes, sir. I could tell you a couple stories about him. We probably don't have time.
I could tell about 5 or 6 stories when I was the athletic director at Union.
He, the 3 years I won the state championship at ORU, all 3 years he showed up with garden shears to cut our hair.
Cut your hair, yeah.
And I could not stand that guy. And he turned out to be one of my best friends. And he came by my office for years, at least once a week. So really a great guy.
Oh, what a
Super
mentor
guy.
for, and what a promoter for wrestling.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Was all over the wrestling. So tell us a little bit about your background. How'd you get started in wrestling?
You know, I had 3 brothers, and my 2 older brothers, we grew up in Midwest City, which was a pretty strong wrestling community. Mm-hmm. And we started wrestling in about first grade on the old canvas mats. You know, they were not the nice mats like we have, but I had 2 older brothers that were real successful. We were real competitive. We wore out the carpet in Mom's living room. But anyway, my oldest brother was a 2-time state champ, and the little younger brother was a 2-time national champ at UCO. So we had a lot of success in the family. And then I graduated from Midwest City and actually went to LSU on a football scholarship in 1976 and graduated in 1981. So LSU wasn't as good as they are now, but and they are having an off season this year. But we had a pretty good team back then.
Oh man, yeah, you bet. Well, you know, it's interesting. A lot of the conjecture as we got into COVID-19 and everything that we've been into, guys, it just seems like forever.
Yeah.
And it's getting close to being a year here.
Yes.
But from a wrestling standpoint, obviously, when there is a great deal of bodily contact, from an officiating standpoint, what are you doing? What are the officials doing to try to make it safer for the student athletes?
A few things we're doing, Gil, that really our officials, first of all, when they show up on site, they're to wear a mask, face shield, the entire time that they're on site, calling the match until they leave the premises. And then, like, unless the home team has a stricter, policy, we follow that. So we'd follow TPS or whatever. And we're encouraging them now to use electronic whistles. We've had a few issues where the official has worn the mask with the whistle underneath, and the official, we just feel like that spray might come through the mask. Mm-hmm. So the electronic whistle will knock that out. So we've recommended everybody to do that. The pre-meet before a duel, we used to go in the locker rooms. It's a small room, talk to the kids about rules and things. We've moved that out into the gym where we can get kind of an open space the kids out, talk about rules, issues, if they have any questions. You still have that meeting, but not in a small locker room. The coin flip, when the kids come to the center of the mat, we used to have the coach and the kids come. We have them stop at that inner circle, so they're at least 6 feet apart. Don't shake hands. The official does the coin flip away from them, and that's to decide who gets their choice at the end of the first period. Right. So we do that. And then as an official, I mean, you've been around high school wrestling. As an official, you should be able to keep your distance from the wrestlers most of the match, mm-hmm. unless you're having to separate kids for an issue or something. So we try to maintain that. And then at the end of the match, when the match is over, the referees will shake hands, and we used to, grab the wrist and raise that hand. Now we're instructing the official just tell the winner to raise his or her hand.
I see.
So,
well, on your in your pre-meeting,
yes, sir.
Where does the weigh-in fall into that?
So most of the time, the weigh-in is done actually before we get there. So at big tournaments like a regionals or something, we have to be there for weigh-in.
Right.
So at weigh-in, we can still space them out and weigh them in. And a lot of teams this year, Gil, for tournaments are weighing the kids in by team. Mm-hmm. So you're only bringing one team in there at a time. Right. They've traveled together to the site. We had a tournament at Pryor a couple of weeks ago. I called it, and same thing. The kids weighed in by team, and then they actually had no fans allowed. And then they had the teams separated in the arena, mm-hmm. Spaced out. And
that's kind of where we've been. Right now we're parents only.
Okay.
We felt like of the home team.
Yes,
we feel
sir.
like it's important for those parents that they've nurtured those kids through all that time
right.
to be able to get to see them participate. So, in the last 30 seconds here, tell me, do you have enough officials?
We do. And speaking of officials, we have 3 or 4 girls that are starting to officiate. The girls' numbers in Oklahoma. Last year we had a state exhibition tournament.
Right.
This year we've got about 330 girls.
Oh, my goodness.
9 through 12. TPS has some too.
Yes, we do. Yeah,
yes,
that's
sir.
Fantastic. Well, Paul, thank you for being here today.
Oh, you're
and
welcome.
Talk about wrestling with us. And when we come back, we'll have another wrestling coach, Kaleb Furr, the head wrestling coach at Will Rogers High School.
Which one of these items can be recycled in the city of Tulsa's blue recycling cart? Mini blinds, hanger, plastic bottle. The correct answer is plastic bottle. Plastic bottles and jugs are great for the city of Tulsa's blue recycling cart. But mini blinds and hangers should be thrown away in the gray trash cart. Learn more at tulsarecycles.com.
Being an athlete at Nathan Hill's means that you have to be consistent, outgoing, and be dedicated because students at Nathan Hill look up to the football team.
Being an athlete at Nathan Hill has taught me to be confident and disciplined and always to be open-minded and always ready to work with people no matter how difficult it is.
Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics. Now we have the head wrestling coach of the Will Rogers Roper, Kaleb Furr. Kaleb, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, we're exciting. This is the winter. It's wrestling time, and even through COVID and everything, we are still wrestling. We just had Paula Mean, who's the supervisor of wrestling officials, on, and he told us some of the things they're doing. Let's talk about how you view high school wrestling and rolling out that program, because a lot of people have had concern about there's a lot of bodily contact with wrestling. So how have you navigated through that?
Well, it's been a challenge. A few things that we've done to make practices safer and hopefully competition safer as well is we're limiting contact between large numbers of kids. So by doing smaller practice sizes, groups for practices, keeping people with the same partners throughout the week in practice. That way, in case there is a situation where we have a contact situation, less of the students would be close contacts. Mm-hmm. It'd be hard. It'd be really, really hard. I don't see how we could do our sport 100% safe. However, by just, taking things seriously and doing our protocols seriously, I think we can put ourselves in the best situation to have the least amount of issues.
I think it's interesting. I started the wrestling program at Coffeyville High School, mm-hmm. and so that was 1970. So I've been around wrestling for a long, long time. We were doing things about disinfecting mm-hmm. before anybody else was.
Yeah.
Every night on
mm-hmm.
the mat, for
mm-hmm.
the Infantigo and all
oh,
that,
yeah.
every single night. And we had a situation where we had to roll the mat up every night because we wrestled in the study hall. We didn't have a place,
Yep.
so it had to be done every night. I think wrestling has had a a really good handle on that as we move forward. So tell us about your team. How's your team?
Okay, so we're extremely young, I will say. We had a few different situations come up in the off season where we lost some of our key guys moving forward. However, we have a great freshman class that really is stepping up. We've got a few really key freshmen. We've got a kid named Robert Brown, Isaac Arce, and Eden Sylvan, who I believe all three will be state qualifiers, if not state placers, before they're done at Will Rogers. And they're just freshmen. They bring it in the room every single day. And, if I can describe this group at all, they're just fearless. That's the thing, our first match will be against, Bishop Kelly, and these guys are fearless. They beat us 50-something to 20-something last year, and these guys are ready to go. I mean, they were ready to go against Nathan Hale. We had to cancel that one. Now they're ready to go against Bishop Kelly. So, these guys are fearless. They bring it every single day. The effort in the room is unbelievable. And, I can't ask for more than what I'm getting in the room right now.
That's fantastic. So, let me ask you this, having been a wrestling coach and looking at weight control and that type of thing, how is that you don't see those kids except at practice every day? That's
been a big challenge, but not as much for the weight side. At Rogers, it's only my second year here. We really don't do much weight cutting at all. Most of our kids are a little undersized for their weight classes. But, we put a supreme focus on strength and conditioning so that we can keep up with those bigger guys. And I've only seen a couple situations in the last 2 years where we were just severely undersized. Mm-hmm. So I'm not too worried about the weight, but I will say the distance learning has made the grades harder to stay on. Because like you said, we only have these kids in the afternoons when they get here. So it's kind of hard to track them down and say, hey, quit being a knucklehead and go to class, So something we've done is we've implemented a 3-day-a-week study hall, mandatory before practice. It's paid huge dividends in the classroom for these kids.
Well, I think that's great that we did that. We had a district-wide 1 day a week.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you went 2 more. I think, somebody asked me the other day, what do you think about distance education? I said, it's something that will probably prevail for a long time. Mm-hmm. But we have kids now who have gone to school for 11 or 12 years with in-person. Mm-hmm. And to switch that to that distance, it's tough for them. Now, I bet you we're going to have some first and second graders who have been in this distance thing. Yeah. They'll think that's the best thing in the world because that's what they've done. Yeah. And so it's a matter of, especially the instructors as well, because it's difficult to do that as well. Yeah. Well, as you go into 2021, what's your goal?
Our goal is, we've said it all year. We want multiple state qualifiers and a state placer. We could say, 10-1, 10-2 in duels, but we don't even know if we'll get any duels this year. I mean, sure. Nothing is for certain.
It's like I tell our staff, everything's a definite maybe.
Exactly. So the only thing I tell these guys every day, the only thing you can control is your own destiny here this year. So I really do believe we've got multiple kids in the room. We can get to the state tournament this year.
Well, that's fantastic. So, well, we're glad you're here. Yeah. Good luck as we go into this next year and maybe get out of this pandemic. And when we come back, we'll have Jaylen Thompson, the head girls basketball coach at East Central.
Which one of these items can be recycled in the city of Tulsa's blue recycling cart? Glass bottle, string lights, ceramic mug. The correct answer is glass bottle. Glass bottles and jars are perfect for the city of Tulsa's blue recycling cart. But string lights and ceramic mugs should be donated or thrown away in the gray trash cart. Learn more at tulsarecycles.com.
Being an athlete at Booker T. Washington has taught me to carry myself with class as an athlete, student, and friend, and to have responsibility on and off the field.
Being an athlete at Memorial High School has taught me to be a better person, because when you play sports, attitude is the main thing you have to deal with. Not just your own, but other people's. It also teaches you to be the bigger person.
Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics. And now we have the head girls basketball coach at East Central High School, Jaylen Thompson. Jaylen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Well, we're glad to have you back in Tulsa.
Oh, yes. It's fun. I'm enjoying it.
Tell us a little bit about your background.
So I am actually a graduate from East Central. I transferred there in 2012, played on the state boys team in 12, and then graduated in 2013, where I went to go play college basketball. And then that turned into my first assistant coaching job. I was there helping out with the men's team. And then now I'm back trying to give my alma mater some life again.
There you go. Yeah, well, you know, it's an ever-ending flow of up and down and
yes, for
and,
sure.
You know, you gotta do it. So how is your rebuilding going?
It's different. We're really young. I have 6 freshmen playing right now. With not having any interaction with the kids in school, it was kind of just word of mouth. And so a lot of the girls are friends, so that helps. And so they kind of brought in each other. And so it's going pretty well. Just trying to put in our everyday philosophy, get the girls to understand kind of what East Central basketball is about and things like that. They're growing. They're getting better every day. I'm really young. We have no seniors, so it's always interesting. We say that our practices stay very interesting every day.
Well, I can imagine without that day-to-day contact in school is really difficult.
Yes, 100%. We talk a lot through messaging. We have group chats and different things like that, Zooms, and then just the only contact we have is during practice. So it's really different. I can't really make sure they're doing the work or anything. They kind of have to hold their stuffs accountable. And so it's different, but we're starting to turn the page. Girls are getting eligible, keeping grades up and different things like that. So it's nice to see.
Well, you know, we're hopeful. The Board of Education last evening met, and we're going to have our 4 through 12 years in school go back on February 1st.
Yes.
Full time. And I think that's going to help us somewhat, not only athletically, but also academically.
Yes,
It's tough to monitor where those kids are right now when they're in distance learning. So,
yes.
I think that's been a challenge for all of our schools as we've gone through that. So as you look at your season, you're really just right now getting into the Green Country Conference and some of those opponents. Who's the team to beat?
I hear a lot that Rogers is really good in our conference, and Memorial is a really good team coming back. Got some pretty good girls, as well as Central. Central girls are pretty good, and then after that, it seems like a few of us is all kind of trying to figure out, you know, where we line in everything. So
well, what we found, and as you know, you played in the Green Country Conference. Every Tuesday and Friday is a war.
Oh yeah,
it's tough, and it's tough to play on the road. Have you played any of the conference schools where there's only just been the home team parents there?
Yeah, so we got to play last Tuesday. We got to play Rogers, so that was pretty interesting. It was very one-sided cheering. Well, but it was a good experience.
Randy Rutherford, our head boys coach at McLean, indicated that he thought it was an equalizer because when you go on the road, you don't have that big preponderance of crowd.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it almost makes it a neutral site every time you play. Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't a lot of people in there, so it wasn't really hard to get our girls to kind of settle down. Like I said, we have so many freshmen that they were starstruck if one person was in the gym.
Oh, sure.
So it was different for them, but yeah, as a coach, just seeing it, I kind of enjoyed it. Kind of got my girls to focus on me. Didn't have to listen to parents and things like that. So it was nice.
Well, I think, you know, from a coaching standpoint, you probably can communicate better during the game because they can hear you.
Yes.
You know, when you have that big crowd, they can't hear what you're saying.
Yes. It reminds me, I watched a lot of the bubble, and that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, man, this looks like bubble basketball. So
we've kind of bubbled here with just the parents. I think that's the key. And you know, that was a tough decision. We went from 0 is what it was going to be, and I felt like it was awful important that if a parent or guardian wanted to come see that youngster play that they've been in their house for 10 or 12 or 15 years, that they should have that opportunity to do that.
Yes.
Well, what do you want to accomplish as you get into the new year?
My biggest goal, we talk to our girls every day. Our motto is win the day. So that's something that we really want to do, win the day, get our kids to continue to work on their their assignments and things like that, and just build that side of the basketball. And then on the floor, just have fun. This year, like I said, it's a big rebuild type year. Just kind of get them comfortable, understanding our system, understanding what we need to run, and just understanding what the tradition of East Central is. And
well, like Nick Saban says, everything's a process.
Oh, yes.
It is a process.
Yes.
And so if we can get that process laid out for East Central, then you'll have them back on track.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you for being here today. We'll be right back with Konner Johnston, the athletic director at Monroe, when we come back.
Which one of these items can be recycled in the city of Tulsa's blue recycling cart? Plastic bottle, cooler, laundry basket. The correct answer is plastic bottle. Plastic bottles and jugs are perfect for the city of Tulsa's blue recycling cart. But coolers and laundry baskets should be thrown away in the gray trash cart. Learn more at tulsarecycles.com.
Being an athlete at Edison High School has taught me to work as a team rather than as an individual. Whenever you're on a team, you have a special bond with each other. You know you can rely on them in a time of need, whether on or off the court. Whether it be a shoulder to cry on or advice on how you can improve, you know your team will always be there for you.
Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics. Now we have the Director of Athletics and Basketball Coach at Monroe Demonstration Center, Konner Johnston. Konner, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Well, it's December and we're playing basketball. It can't be too bad.
It's best time of the year, huh?
Best time of the year.
Especially for a basketball
So tell
coach.
us a little bit about your background, what got you to Tulsa, and then we'll talk about Monroe.
Okay. Well, my background is in Arkansas, the natural state. I played a little bit of college basketball, and coaching is pretty much all I've ever wanted to do. All my coaches my whole life have just been mentors and positive role models, and at a young age I knew this is just kind of what I wanted to do. After graduating college, I just kind of didn't have any geographical restrictions. I decided just to kind of apply everywhere I could. Applied in Arkansas, applied a little bit in Texas, applied here in Oklahoma, and I just had a really good opportunity here in Tulsa to basically just get my dream job right out of the gate. I mean, very fortunate, to be teaching the subject that I want to be teaching, to be coaching the sport that I want to be coaching, and to be an athletic director at such a young age. Man, it's just truly a blessing. It really is. So when I got the call, and I just, I jumped on the opportunity right away. Monroe was the first school to give me an offer here in Tulsa. And when I just looked at everything and I saw, wow, I could be a basketball coach, a health and PE teacher, and an athletic director right away. It was just kind of a no-brainer, and just jumped right on it.
Well, we're glad you're there, and Monroe is a special school, obviously.
It is.
And kind of really has developed over the last 4 or 5 years really into a great feeder. And I think one of the great things that you do, and Rob Kaiser, your principal, are committed to the feeder program. And I think there's no question that will help ultimately McLean High School at some point in time. But,
correct.
You guys have, I know they've got quite a few of your freshmen over there now that are contributing both in football and basketball. So tell me about your team. How's your team doing this year?
Well, my junior high team, I don't want to say my junior high team. I want to say our junior high team. I want to, include McLean High School in as much as I can. We actually finished our last game last night of the junior high season, and we did really well. We finished undefeated.
All right.
This season.
Well, excellent.
And like you said, we do have a couple freshmen that were able to contribute right away in high school sports here in Oklahoma, which is really not always heard of. You don't really see freshmen playing right away.
Right.
But we got a couple kids right now, like KJ Nichols and Dennis Nolan, that were able to just jump right in and contribute right away. And I think that's kind of been just the goal. The vision is if we can get a couple of kids, you know, every year, and those two kids I know for sure are just kids that could change the culture right away. You know, they're
Make
freshmen.
a difference. I think that's the thing too. You know, McLean has had that image situation, and I think that certainly has changed. Renee Rabowski, the principal there, and of course Philip Johnston, the longtime athletic director, solid citizen, good guy, and really does a good job. But you know, when you think about turning somebody out like Josh Jacobs, maybe, you know, that's not a bad guy to say he's one of your alums, and I think that all goes through with carrying people all the way through, because he stayed all the way through.
Right.
You know, he didn't leave. What do you think some of your challenges are as the athletic director?
You know, I would say last year, just being a new transition, me just trying to transition from the way that Arkansas might have done things to how, you know, Tulsa Public School does things and how Oklahoma does things. In Arkansas, ninth graders, they don't play varsity. You know, they're still at the junior high level. You know, that's not a huge adjustment. That's not something that's difficult to transition with. But, you know, that's just kind of an example. Just the new transitions of juggling everything, you know, being responsible for a lot of different athletic departments or just programs. We've implemented 3 new sports this year with, you know, cross country and swim and wrestling and track as well. But I've had a great support system. I know my last year, or, you know, my first year, which was last year, you know, just, you know, the athletic department, the office was, you know, I had them on speed dial. It seemed like Jen Sanders was a big help for me, Mick Wilson. I called them, I know, at least twice a week, 3 times a week.
Well,
for
and,
sure.
and of course, that's what it's all about.
Right.
You know, my first AD's job, I was 29 and happened to be union. And it was growing rapidly.
Right.
And, you know, when I got there in 76, we had 500 kids. And when I left in 91, we had 2,500 kids. So it was a growth thing. But I think you've done a really good job. I'm glad you're here on the show today. And I guarantee you we'll have you back when we get into our spring sports, because we have fall football starting right after the first of the year. We want to talk about that. So thank you for being here, Konner. And when we come back, we're going to have Nate Goodman, the athletic director at Central.
Which one of these items can be recycled in the city of Tulsa's blue recycling cart? Air filter, cardboard box, toy car. The correct answer is cardboard box. Paper and cardboard are perfect for the city of Tulsa's blue recycling cart. But air filters and toys should be thrown away in the gray trash cart. Learn more at tulsarecycles.com.
Athletics is so important at Tulsa Central because it's an outlet for some of our kids there. They get a better opportunity to basically give back to our community.
At McLean, the sports is what mainly drives a bunch of the students to come to school every single day and work hard, because they want to be able to come from the classroom to the field or the court and show what they're good at.
Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics, and now we have another athletic director. Having the athletic directors on today to kind of talk about vision and everything for their district. And Nate Goodman is the athletic director at Central High School. Nate, glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here. Glad to be out the office.
Yeah, no kidding. Me too. I look forward to Tuesdays when I can spend 2 hours at Webster.
I don't blame you.
Know? But you wear a lot of hats at Central. You're the director of athletics.
Yes, sir.
But also you coach some. What all do you coach?
I I'll start with our coach last year. Last year I was assistant basketball. I was head girls soccer, and assistant football. This year I've taken a back seat to basketball. So now I'm just head girls soccer and assistant football, and head junior high football coach. So I try to keep my hands involved in everything. Not literally, but hey.
Yeah, but you are as the athletic director because you touch all of them.
All of them.
That's what somebody said. So how many teams do you have? And I said about 126. And, it's a little deal. You mentioned something that is unique and we haven't talked about yet, and I think it's time that we do because of the pandemic and the effect that it had on the fall enrollment and not knowing that we were going to be in-person instruction. We made a decision to move the football season to February and March this year, where the practice can start in January and so on. How do you look at that as you get ready to coach junior high football this year?
As a coach, I embrace just being able to play a football season with the junior high kids. Now, if I put on another hat as a teacher and another soccer coach, it raises questions for me because soccer will be going on at the same time as junior high football. So I'm going to be relying on my assistants a lot to help me out while I'm transitioning from soccer practice to get ready to go to football practice. I like the setup that is going on this year with it being played on Saturday. I think that'll help out with more fans being able to attend. A lot of parents don't work on the weekend, so they won't be getting ready.
Right.
Trying to get dinner prepared that night and get ready for work the next morning.
Sure.
So it should increase the fans, allowing that COVID moves out of the way. But I'm excited for junior high football. And another thing that it allows us to do is the high school coaches can now put their hands involved a lot more with junior high football. So
I think that's going to be a real big bonus, keeping kids in the feeder program, moving forward to the high school. Now, Central, has one of those, and we have about 4 or 5 that have that uniqueness that they have the junior high right in the same building.
Yes, sir.
So you have that contact. If we had contact with students, that is a bonus. But how has that been as far as from a communication standpoint, not having the kids in school?
Early on last year, right when COVID kind of hit, we kind of knew something was going to come down the line. So we started reaching out to a lot of our kids to stay in contact with them. We use this app called Remind app. A lot of the coaches use GroupMe, sort of just social media platforms to stay involved in contact with our kids. So we really haven't had that much of a fall off as far as participation goes. What does alarm me is the amount of kids that we have had come out with COVID-19 and not having, being in person, going to the cafeteria, pulling kids out to play this year. I think football, we averaged about 35 to 40 consistently all year long. Basketball, surprisingly, boys basketball this year has had 30 kids, possible. Girls basketball is kind of taking a decline, but it's still 13 to 14 girls involved in that. And then our junior high numbers increased in basketball, where last year we only had 1 boys basketball team. This year we had 35 kids, so we were forced to have two teams this year. So
yeah, that's fantastic. Let's kind of live in the past for just a little bit.
Okay.
KT Owens got eligible.
KT Owens.
What did that mean to your program and to your school that last 5 weeks of the football season?
Without KT Owens this year, you don't hear about Central football. And KT Owens not only elevated his game, but any receiver will tell you without a quarterback, they don't get the shine that they got. And he actually exposed a lot of our young receivers and possibly single-handedly put them in position to get scholarships to go to college. We had a young receiver, Mello Davis, Trey Johnston, who single-handedly, I think Mello might have had 1,000 yards in 5 games. Just off the arm of KT Owens. So him coming back and elevating those guys, and not only just in football, but in basketball as well. He's a starter on basketball too, so he can also take that quarterback mentality and provide a lot of vision to the young guys on the basketball court.
I think it was awful positive for Central
Yes.
when that came back, and I know Coach Shaw was excited about it.
Yes, he was.
To be able to do some things offensively that they weren't able to do before that. And sure makes a difference. Well, Nate, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that you could take about 5 minutes off with us with all the other things you got going. But good luck as we go into 2021.
Thank you.
And make sure you take a little bit of rest, too.
I will, especially Christmas break.
Coming up next, Mark Dover, the athletic director and head soccer coach at Memorial High School.
Which one of these items can be recycled in the city of Tulsa's blue recycling cart? Mini blinds, hanger, plastic bottle. The correct answer is plastic bottle. Plastic bottles and jugs are great for the city of Tulsa's blue recycling cart. But mini blinds and hangers should be thrown away in the gray trash cart. Learn more at tulsarecycles.com.
I love Will Rogers Athletics because it helped me physically, spiritually, and emotionally through all the journeys I've been through at that school. All of the support staff helped me a lot, and it's just an amazing school.
Athletics at Will Rogers changed my life because it became a second family. With the support of my coaches and teammates, it's helped me gain confidence, work as a team, and will help me in college and in life.
Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics. And now we have Mark Dover, Director of Athletics, Assistant Dean, and head girls soccer coach. Do you have anything else to do?
A lot. It's a lot.
Well, you made that transition. How's that transition been? I know you've been here before as the boys coach and everything, and a little unique situation. You're the girls coach, and Nikki West is now the boys coach.
Yeah,
but how's your transition been?
My transition's been great. I was on the boys staff for 12 years, and all along those lines, I was able to help out with the girls program in some capacity, whether it was as the athletic director or an assistant along the way. And I felt that when we brought Nikki over, and she spent a few years as my assistant, and we were in a place where we had a girls opening, and I had taken the boys as far as I felt like I could. And so I felt like she was the appropriate replacement for me. The girls program, however, I think I have them in a good spot to succeed. We've got a great team this year, and I'm really looking forward to continuing to coach them.
Well, that's great. I think when you can be innovative from within your staff, and we're always looking for those kinds of things, especially during the pandemic era that we're in right now. So as you move forward, how does that work now that you've taken on the athletic director's role for 7 or 8 years now, and now you're the assistant dean. How does that work?
We've got a great staff at Memorial, and I feel like our administration is we're backed wholeheartedly. So Dr. Grooms became principal last year, and felt like I could be put in a role as an administrator, and she moved me into the dean's office with Steve Moss, who was a great track coach back in the day. And he and I have a great dynamic down there. We try to process these kids and these behavioral infractions and deal with them one-on-one. It's another great way that I get to deal with kids and students, and I get to build relationships with them, and I feel like it's a really positive atmosphere there. It does take a little bit of time as athletic director to spend more time in the curricular side, but I like all of my roles. I feel like I'm doing a decent job, and I feel like I'm moving forward in my career.
One of the things that when I was head coach at McAllister and being the head football coach, you're with good kids. You're football players and everything. But they had me in 3 study halls, and study hall was a dumping ground, for everybody who got kicked out of every other class. And finally, after the first year, I went to the principal and I said, I want to meet some of the other kids in this school. I just don't want to see all those guys and just my guys. And so I was able to get in there. I think you see a plethora of students during the course of a week. Good, bad, and indifferent, huh?
Yeah. I think it's always interesting when an athlete comes into the dean's office, because usually it means they're in trouble. But I like that I get to counsel all of the students that we have at our school, and interactions typically are pleasant.
I think that makes it easier from an athletic standpoint to sell your program.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're also the athletic director. They know you're the athletic director, as well as being assistant dean. And I think that's an important thing. A funny thing in that, when I was at McAllister, my wife was the discipline principal secretary. And we'd go to Walmart, and I said, well, I knew all the good kids, and she knew all the bad kids. It's one of those deals. But so how do you look at the winter season now? You've moving into basketball would be your girls coach second year there, and of course Bobby is seventh or eighth year, as the head coach. How do you feel about your winter season?
We feel great. Our boys program, we are still the defending 3-time state champions, so we always look forward to basketball season. I feel like we can make a run again. Our girls program is taking another step forward. Coach Asbury is doing a great job with his coaching staff and the girls. And then we've also got swim that's competing. And, anytime Coach Bentley's in the pool area, she's business and she's ready to work hard.
I think it's great, too, because really the Memorial Swim Program has been saved. About 3 years ago, the numbers were a little bit, and I know that Dr. Gist and I and others wanted to continue. And, of course, now providing that opportunity, Coach Bentley's been so gracious enough to not only coach Memorial, but also coach the Edison group and keep that program alive when we had to demolish that pool over there because it was so beyond repair. Well, as we look at the new year, what's one thing you'll be excited for in 2021?
A new year, exactly that. No, I'm looking forward to always soccer season. I'm ready to get back on the field and coach the girls. I look forward to the OSSA playoffs again. Hopefully that we didn't get to play in last year, unfortunately. And I'm looking to host. I'm hoping things go back to normal and we get to show off all of our facilities again.
I sure hope that we think the same thing, Mark. I think having missed the spring season last year totally, and of course the playoff season in basketball was just a shame for our kids. Well, good luck this spring.
Thanks.
I hope we do get outside, and I hope we do host. And when we come back, we're going to have Mick Wilson, the Deputy Director of Athletics.
Which one of these items can be recycled in the city of Tulsa's blue recycling cart? Plastic bottle, cooler, laundry basket. The correct answer is plastic bottle. Plastic bottles and jugs are perfect for the city of Tulsa's blue recycling cart. But coolers and laundry baskets should be thrown away in the gray trash cart. Learn more at tulsarecycles.com.
Being an athlete at Booker T. Washington has taught me to carry myself with class as an athlete, student, and friend, and to have responsibility on and off the field.
Being an athlete at Memorial High School has taught me to be a better person, because when you play sports, attitude is the main thing you have to deal with. Not just your own, but other people's. It also teaches you to be the bigger person.
Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics. Now we have Mick Wilson, the Deputy Director of Athletics, and we're going to talk about eligibility issues, transfers, and hardships over the next 12 minutes. So we've got, and we spend years on these things. So hopefully we get done in 12 minutes.
It's funny, Gil, that you bring that up. Just today I was looking through a big, huge file cabinet of everything that we filed here the last few years in the cabinet. I was thinking it's time to start maybe shredding some documents,
Yeah, right.
legally, of course, but they've
right,
kind of timed themselves out. It's funny that we bring that up because, just today I was looking through that cabinet thinking, gosh, that's 9 years worth of documents.
Well, we've had a few.
Time to start
time.
cleaning out a little bit.
Let's talk about eligibility issues during the pandemic.
Well, I think probably the biggest thing that we've run into is just being able to be available to answer questions, to guide people through the process, getting people together when you need to gather documents for a hardship, whether it's a kid's health records, personal records for parents. We get into all that, and sometimes it's not pleasant, but that's things that we have to do. And so I think just the availability and being able to track a kid down, to run those documents down. And fortunately, our athletic directors, we've had this group together for quite a while, so they know what documents I'm going to ask them for, know how to kind of put them together and send those to to us, because the process goes from not only the student, but to the athletic director, and then to our office, and then we examine it, put it together, or in some cases, I don't have to do a lot because some of our ADs that have been around a while, Gary Roberts always puts together a nice package for me, and it's really pretty easy to look at and send forward. So probably just the availability right now would be something that has been kind of difficult.
What we found out too is the more information is better. And as you mentioned, sometimes it's difficult and parents don't understand that we might need income tax reports. If we're claiming that there's been a reason because of an economic fault or whatever, all those things, divorce decrees, adoption papers, it's we get into quite a bit, and then we have the infamous walkthroughs.
And Gil, that's probably one of the hardest parts. I enjoy helping do the legwork and getting our kids eligible, but there's also some parts that aren't very pleasant, and it's not real fun when parents sometimes think maybe you're not taking their word or you believe what they say, so you got to go to the house and take pictures or video,
Right.
walk through, make sure items are in the closets, and really what you're trying to do there is establish that a bona fide move has happened, that people are residing where they say they're residing. You go back to the ex-residence and take a look and make sure it's completely cleaned out. You ask for bills to show notices of turn off and turn on at the new place. So those aren't always pleasant, but at the end of the day, we're just trying to work to get that kid eligible to be able to participate in a legal manner, so that we're not having to backtrack and forfeit games and things like that. We've been through that as well, and none of that is pleasant. But I think for the most part, and 90% of the time, that parents are trying to do the right thing. I mean, you have those that sometimes don't, and we've dealt with those as well. Mm-hmm. But I think for the most part, people are trying to do what's in the best interest of their kids, and so we try to be appreciative and respectful of that.
At the end of the investigative period, the whole thing comes down to it's bigger than just that one kid. If an ineligible player plays on a team, we might affect 40 or 50 or 60 kids to have to forfeit a game because this student athlete was ineligible. And I think some people don't, it's all about their particular case. And from our perspective, it's the greater number of people that we're involved in.
Well, that's what I've come to appreciate. I think one of the biggest parts of my job is to not only protect the student athlete, but then I take the next couple of steps is I have to protect the school, I have to protect our principals, I have to protect the district overall, and do what's in the best interest of all 9 high schools and our middle schools as well. But particularly on the varsity level, protecting those 9 high schools and making sure that everything is equitable, that it's equal. And as Joe Paterno used to say, sometimes it's not important to be fair, but it's also important to look fair.
Look fair.
And make sure that we're following that. And I just try to do that to the best interest of our schools, and really try to help these kids to move on academically and athletically.
I'll never forget one of the questions when I interviewed for this job 9-10 years ago was I asked Mike Mims, who was on the committee. I said, Mike, what are you guys looking for? He said, we want somebody who is equitable for all 9 schools. And sometimes people don't realize that, is that we have 9, we have also 10 middle schools. So we have 19 different schools that we have to worry about. Well, we're going to be back with Mick in a minute. We're going to talk about hardships when we come back after these messages.
Which one of these items can be recycled in the city of Tulsa's blue recycling cart? Glass bottle, string lights, ceramic mug. The correct answer is glass bottle. Glass bottles and jars are perfect for the city of Tulsa's blue recycling cart, but string lights and ceramic mugs should be donated or thrown away in the gray trash cart. Learn more at tulsarecycles.com.
Being an athlete at Edison High School has taught me to work as a team rather than as an individual. Whenever you're on a team, you have a special bond with each other. You know you can rely on them in a time of need, whether on or off the court. Whether it be a shoulder to cry on or advice on how you can improve, you know your team will always be there for you.
Welcome back. We're talking with Mick Wilson, the Deputy Director of Athletics, about eligibility and hardships. And hardships is one of the things that we deal with a lot, Mick. And some people don't understand the definition of a hardship.
Well, I think there are 5 criteria of hardships to meet, and so when you immediately someone throws that term out, and a lot of times it's a parent or someone that maybe doesn't quite have all the knowledge, or maybe they do have some knowledge, and they want to establish a hardship for their student athlete, then it's up to us to help gauge that and find out exactly where they're at and what's caused the hardship. So many times hardships are caused not only by the student, but more times than not, sometimes by the adults, and we have to try to sort that out. And so as we look through those criteria, probably the biggest thing is most of it is, was it student caused, was it adult caused, and was it something that was unavoidable, an undue situation placed upon the student athlete? And so we try to go through and fit those. And obviously number 5, which is an unavoidable circumstance by the student athlete, is probably kind of the catch-all one that we run into the most. Mm-hmm. But I think it's important that as we do that, I always try to see what we can do to help that student athlete. Really, regardless, you want to help their parents and you want to take that in consideration. But first and foremost with me is I always look at what can we do to get this student eligible so that he or she is able to participate. And so as we do that, there's some things that we try to answer, some things we try to ascertain. And as we do that, again, you try to be cognizant of the situation. You don't want to say, well, you're ineligible because your parents, messed up here, or really try to put the blame on someone. I always try to find a solution rather than find fault.
One of the ones that we have to deal with quite a bit, it seems like anymore, are those custody situations. Who actually has custody of a minor child?
And that's a tough one as well. Again, we talked earlier about having to walk through people's houses and go through their current residence and their ex-residence. Well, as you know, custody and divorce is such a hot topic. Sometimes divorces don't end well, and there's a bitter custody battle. So we have to be, we kind of have to wiggle through that as well. And sometimes ask for documents that parents will produce, and sometimes parents refuse to produce those documents and say that it's none of our business. And we just act as an extension of the OSSA. The great thing about, or the sometimes not so great thing that we get put into, is that for all 9 of our high schools, any intra-district transfers is sent back to us in our office, and the OSSA doesn't rule on those. Now, inter-district, obviously we send those off to the OSSA and they determine those. Right. So sometimes we get put into a situation that maybe we don't necessarily like, but we have to rule on. And a lot of times those hardships, Gil, that we rule on in our office aren't very accepted as well. And so we have our eligibility review committee, which is some of our district administrators, our ILDs, some athletic directors from different high schools. And we, if they don't like Mick Wilson's ruling, then they're always welcome to take that up with our athletic eligibility review committee that can then hear that. And I never get my feelings hurt. A lot of times I'd have to say that most of the time they agree with my decision, our decision, and then move that forward. And then sometimes, there's been a couple times that they've overruled me in a case. We had one with a football player, as you remember, and they gave him some stipulations to have to follow, right, that they would overrule me. But then there's some stipulations as far as attendance and academics and maintaining some of those things that which I thought was a really great idea at the time.
Well, it's good for the young man, and unfortunately, as you recall, he didn't live up to all those.
Right, and so then he ended up being ineligible.
Yeah, ineligible. And I tell you, that's the thing. We always try to err on the side of the student athlete if there's an error to be made. Because we want that kid to have that opportunity. And I think the point that you made that we always look at, did the student cause this or did somebody else cause this for this student to be ineligible? And I think those are sometimes a little bit more difficult to ascertain who was the culprit in the situation. And like I say, the custody thing is a totally another thing that we have to get into. And one of the things that people don't realize is that gaining custody, unless it's court ordered by a judge, is not a legal standing in the OSSAA.
We've had so many times that people bring affidavits or they print something off the internet that says I'm giving guardianship or temporary guardianship and those kind of things, and none of that is recognized by the OSSAA, and so none of that's recognized by our office. We don't operate now to enroll. To become a legal student, those documents are accepted at the enrollment center along with several other things. But and our enrollment center folks have gotten really, really good about deferring those questions to us. They now have information. Just the other day, Chris Cerna had sent us some things that they were going to put on the website for parents to be able to answer questions, and it was very, very accurate. Jen Howell, Joe Blackwelder. We've got some great people over there that really defer to us and keep us in the loop on those things, and so that's really nice that we're able to do that. But so many times we have folks that listen to some outside people. We've been through it with some AAU coaches and things, and they're trying to advise kids. And the old saying is they know just enough to be dangerous. We've had some kids that have gotten themselves into a mess by thinking they're going to transfer or change schools or be eligible back at their home school after establishing eligibility way. And those folks aren't eligible. So again, I always caution parents that if they have questions, if there's some situations that they need some advisement, please pick up the phone, call our office. If you don't feel comfortable calling and visiting with us, please call the OSSA and get advice. Absolutely. Amy Castle is our person, our contact at the OSSA office. So feel free to contact those people when you have questions, because it's better to ask first than try to backtrack and. There's
not a dumb question.
No, there's not at all.
If it's questions about your kid, it's not a dumb question. Well, Mick, thanks for being here.
You bet. Thank you.
And when we come back, we'll wrap up this 2020 year.
Which one of these items can be recycled in the city of Tulsa's blue recycling cart? Mini blinds, hanger, plastic bottle. The correct answer is plastic bottle. Plastic bottles and jugs are great for the city of Tulsa's blue recycling cart. But mini blinds and hangers should be thrown away in the gray trash cart. Learn more at tulsarecycles.com.
I love Will Rogers Athletics because it helped me physically, spiritually, and emotionally through all the journeys I've been through at that school. All of the support staff helped me a lot, and it's just an amazing school.
Athletics at Will Rogers changed my life because it became a second family. With the support of my coaches and teammates, it's helped me gain confidence, work as a team, and will help me in college and in life.
Hope you enjoyed the show today. This is our last show of 2020, and thank goodness 2020 is over. Have a great holiday season, and let's think very positive about 2021 next year. Happy New Year.